follow along with me as I make and embellish a burlesque cowgirl costume. Here's how I embellished a cowboy hat. I am applying this double buckled western styled belt using a hot glue gun because the adhesive is more dense and it will apply to the leather and material of the hat better. I did not show that I made a mistake, but I definitely did and had to tear off and reapply the belt. Using this beautiful embroidered trim, I carefully cut around the design on the mesh base to preserve the design. I fit it to the hat and cut accordingly. I am using acrylic adhesive rather than hot glue because it is lighter weight and hot glue dries and appears white, and I don't want that to show underneath this embroidered lace detail. Adding the embroidery was tricky, almost like a puzzle, where there was a lot of orientation, cutting, placing, gluing, and filling in the bare spots of the hat. The hardest part of embellishing this hat was preserving the top shape of it. This is the first time I've ever fully documented my crafting. I'm really proud of this costume and being inspired and bringing that vision to life. My love for crafting actually started as a chore. When I was a kid, I was a lot heavier set and shorter, so I had to cut my pants and learned how to hand sew the bottom seams of those pants shut. From there, I started experimenting, altering other clothes, and as I got older, I would go to the thrift store, pick out larger clothes, and alter them to have a better fit, a certain length, or alter the design from flowy to A-line. And from there, I started experimenting with making my own clothing and crafting my own accessories, and that kind of expanded and bled over to making my own Halloween costumes. I think it's really exciting to have a vision and be able to work and bring that creativity to life. I decided this hat needed more embellishment, so I added this beaded trim. I applied it along the edge of the hat using a hot glue gun in order to support the weight of that beaded trim and bind the fabric of the base of the trim to the hat. And the items are linked below. Here's how I made my own chaps. In order to save time and money, I found and purchased a pair of boots that had a series of buckles to extract. I'm leaving the existing overlapped stitching and seams of the boot panel in order to give more fabric reinforcement and support later. I purchased these faux leather pants from a thrift store, generally measuring and giving extra length to create the chaps, sew and complete the top and bottom seams. I matched the thigh or top of the boot panel upside down to the pant leg in order to give a boot leg or wider base. Trimming and preparing to sew the top and bottom seams, I sewed the fabrics together and made several mistakes of sewing the wrong sides together, using the wrong stitch settings, etc. Had to go back, unstitch, and then restitch everything back together. Using an embroidered lace trim, I want to cover up the two different leather fabrics and match the theme of other items I created for this costume while adding embellishment and dimension to the chaps. I used a basic stitch setting with loose tension and took off the foot of my sewing machine, sewing freehand, going along the edges without snagging or bunching it up. Mistakes happen, and after a lot of trial and error, creating my own support straps from the scrap fabric, I decided to reattach the original support straps to the boots, but I had to makeshift a support attachment that was reinforced in order to support the weight of the chaps. I was pretty frustrated with all the mistakes I made leading up to this mistake, and actually gave up making these chaps and started on a different costume. I was later inspired by some creatives I met during my Buff Bunny model search experience trip. They told me that no idea was too big, and if you're passionate about something, pursue it. It really stuck with me and helped encourage me to work through the difficulties, go back to the drawing board, and finish my costume. I'm not good at design drawing, and I base everything off of what I envision, so I highly recommend making a plan and a set list of actions. Using this adhesive pre-coated rhinestones that are activated using a heat gun, I added these to the chaps for more embellishment, and here are my very first pair of chaps. Starting with a studded fringe swimsuit skirt cover, I'm cutting it and making sure the length will cover the curvature of the bra. This bra was purchased already having the rhinestones. I have these adhesive pre-coated rhinestones that are activated using a heat gun. This cuts down on the time and application process. I wanted to use the same colored rhinestones as the corset in order to give very subtle glimmer and depth to the design. This will also appear in the photos. I am also using this faux clear diamond rhinestone in order to give almost a studded design effect. I think it will enhance some of the features of the corset. I've been working on my costume an hour here and there for the past several months. Crafting can be a good outlet for stressors and work and bring that vision to life. This is the first time I have ever documented my entire crafting process, and I'm really proud to show it off. I'm going to embellish these sleeves for my costume. I am applying this beautiful embroidered lace trim, and I do regret not using different adhesive rather than a hot glue gun because hot glue dries white and it does show through the embellished material, but you live and you learn. I never have a solid plan. I'm not good at fashion design drawing, so whenever I have a vision or a creative idea, it's all in my head, and it does take me a long time to bring my vision to life with a lot of orientation, cutting, placing, gluing, and filling in the bare spots and visually trying to pull off the look that I want. Crafting can be frustrating and pretty tedious, but I look at it as a creative and stress outlet. I have these pre-coated adhesive rhinestones that are activated using this heat gun to apply to the belts of the sleeves. I disassembled a pair of earrings and used the bullhead pendant for later onto the faux gun holsters. Using an adhesive sheet of rhinestones, I cut and placed the rhinestone sheets matching the shape of the gun holsters and wanted to preserve the outstanding features in a manner that preserved the recognition while still adding pizzazz to the gun holsters. Adding that bullhead pendant, I have been working on my costume for the past 5-ish months with an hour here and there of labor when I can because I have a pretty busy schedule, but I really wanted to work and bring this vision to life. And moving on to the embellished belt, I actually got this 100% leather belt from a thrift store, and I am cutting the adhesive rhinestone sheet into strips to cover the belt and match the theme of the gun holsters. And here is the final result. It is a burlesque cowgirl, but this costume is very versatile and I'm really proud of my work.